Hey, what's up everybody? This is Nightwing2303 from SneakerFiles.com. Today we're coming at you with another performance review, and today it will be on the Hyperdunk 2011. So here's one quick look at the sneaker right here, and as usual, try not to waste too much of your time, and let's get right into it. We'll start off with the bottom of the shoe here. You can see the traction, and it is herringbone. It's full length, which is awesome. You really can't get it any better than this, and it worked perfectly all the way through. The first night there was some slipping just right in this area where there's the clear sole. It is a dust collector, but a couple of wipes and a little short break-in period, and you're pretty much good to go. The only area that I noticed that there was some slipping was right here. It was mainly when I was coming off of a screen, when I was rolling really hard off of it with my outside foot. Usually when you roll around a screen, you're kind of running this way, and then you'll push to dart back over into the other direction, and that was the only issue. It wasn't even that bad. It only happened about 3 times during the entire month that I used these on court, and yeah, that's pretty much, it's pretty much self-explanatory. There's traction on the outrigger. Traction was fantastic. It was a little bit different than the Hyperdunk 2010, but not too different to where it affected the shoe at all. And if you need a comparison on the two, I have a small comparison on my site, Nightwing2303.com. So yeah, traction, it was awesome. I'd probably give it about a 9 out of 10. With the cushioning setup, it's the same exact thing as we saw last year in the 2010 Hyperdunk. You have a Phylon midsole, and then underneath the footbed you have a zoom unit in the heel, and then also in the forefoot area. One thing that some people, they're not quite sure about it is that the Zoom Kobe line usually uses a very small zoom bag right here underneath the ball of your foot, whereas these, being a Hyperdunk, they actually use a full-length zoom bag, so it covers the entire area here. And then with this one, you can actually see through the window underneath, and you can view the zoom bag underneath there. The regular retail versions, you can also see it underneath this pivot point here. This one has some graphic underneath, so you can't see that. And as far as the upper goes, as far as the cushion, the Phylon, it took some getting used to. It's a little bit thicker than what I'm usually used to playing in, so you feel a little bit higher off the ground. It wasn't horrible. You get used to it really quickly. And one thing that I did notice though is that the heel, it absorbed tons of impact, especially upon landings. So if you're going up for a rebound, or if anybody can actually dunk, if you end up landing on your heel with these, they compress quite a bit, and it might be hard to see, but there are ridges or grooves, whatever you want to call it, in place, so that kind of helps a little bit with absorbing some of the impact. And there is quite a bit of creasing in the midsole, which you probably can't see because of the graphic, but it did its job. One thing was right here, there's a small little white dot. Somebody kind of clipped my foot, and the Phylon came off a little bit, so I don't know how durable it will be, but who knows. And other than that, the cushioning was great. I love Zoom Air, and this worked for me. I would have liked to have seen a little lower profile midsole, but other than that, it did a great job. The material and the fit on the Hyperdunk 2011 is, in my opinion, it's awesome. I really enjoyed it. You have a combination of mesh, flywire, and fused material. The mesh and the flywire has been fused together right here along the side panel. It's pretty much the same exact stuff that you'd see on the LeBron 8 V2. And then you also have the fuse overlays on top of that, which added quite a bit of protection, especially right where you needed it in the toe area. Every once in a while I'd drag my toe, and the material really took no damage. It also helps support and strengthen the eye stay areas so that they don't rip and tear. Some people had experienced that with the skin wire that they had used in last year's 2010 model. So the lockdown of the shoe, it was absolutely fantastic. The heel cup is pretty much identical. At least it's really similar to last year's version. They did notch out a couple of areas on the back here, which basically reduced a little bit of weight. It didn't compromise the fit or the lockdown at all. The cut of the shoe is great. You know, it dips down, really hugs your Achilles area, while the collar keeps up with the top of your ankle and throughout the rest of the shoe. The forefoot of the shoe, there was a little bit of dead space. It was nowhere near the amount of dead space that I had experienced in the Hyperdunk 2010, which I just didn't like that shoe at all. And this one, it was much better. There was still a small amount of dead space. It wasn't as narrow that I had assumed it would be, since they said that they had used the same last or mold as the Zoom Kobe 5. So I was expecting a Zoom Kobe 5 fit, which is not what I got. But you know, it was decent enough. And then the tongue here is a partial inner sleeve. It really only connects way down here. I kind of don't like that. They've been doing that quite often, and I prefer a full-on boot inside the shoe. You know, and then there is no padding in the tongue, so I had to keep readjusting my laces. I kept like pinching a nerve or something, and my foot would go numb, so that was a little annoying. Hopefully next time they can add some sort of padding down the center like they did with the Hyperfuse. And then probably the greatest thing that they did to the shoe was they put those little heel notches back in. And they're really comfortable. They cup your Achilles area perfectly, right in the little divots that you have naturally in your foot. And it helps so that your foot doesn't pop out of the shoe and slide out. You know, since the eye stay area was such a straight shot, where I think I have these right here, where they had this little notch in here, which is great for ankle mobility. You know, these don't have that. So when they were laced up tight and you'd move, there was some flexing right in the medial area and all of that stuff. It wasn't horrible, but you know, those heel notches is what really helped keep your foot in place. And I thought that the fit was just 100 times better than last year's 2010, which were pretty darn bad, in my opinion. Breathability or ventilation, it's pretty good. It's actually right up to the same standard that I hold the Zoom Kobe 6. They have the flywire upper, and then there is, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this stuff, but there are like little pieces of like triangles cut out along the sides, both the lateral and medial, and then you also have perforations right here on the toe. And so you have a good amount of ventilation. And then the tongue is completely mesh, and the material is super thin. So while it was bad for when you were tying up your laces tightly, it was good for allowing that heat to escape your shoe. So you know, the ventilation, I thought it was nice. It's nothing spectacular, but it's pretty much on par with most of the shoes that are out today from the Nike brand. Overall thoughts, it's pretty much exactly what you'd expect from a Hyperdunk. You know, it's a great all-around basketball shoe. It's made for multiple positions. You know, a point guard could wear it, and even a power forward can wear it comfortably. And I'm assuming that some centers could wear it. It depends on, you know, what they prefer. But overall, I thought it was great. There's just enough cushion in there for a bigger guy, and then there is enough responsiveness for somebody that's a little bit smaller or quicker. The fit was greatly improved from last year's. The traction is pretty much the same. You have great herringbone traction. Same with the cushion. You have zoom heel and forefoot with your Phylon midsole. You have, I think this was a glass-based carbon fiber type material. I don't remember exactly what it was called, but I hardly ever, notice these things. So it did its job as far as keeping your arch, stable and in the position that it's supposed to be in. It didn't allow for too much flex, which is kind of a bummer, but the shoe is pretty thick in the midsole area. One thing that I didn't like, as you can see here, is that the toe really comes up off the floor, and you can kind of feel that. It feels like a running shoe at first, and I had to get used to that pretty much every time I stepped out on the floor with these. I like my feet to be planted on the floor, perfectly, and these, there's just that little like toe spring or whatever you call it, and I didn't really like that. Would I recommend the shoe? Yeah, I would recommend it, especially since it's an overall, all-around basketball shoe. Multiple positions. It's a decent price point. It's at $130, and it'll definitely last you at least one season with the material changes that they added onto the shoe with the fuse, flywire, and mesh. Alright guys, so that pretty much takes care of the review on the Hyperdunk 2011. It is a good all-around shoe. It's much better than the 2010 version, which I really didn't like whatsoever, and this one was a great improvement from last year's model, which is always nice to see. And price point's about $130, so you can get these for a decent price. They'll probably go down in a little while, but who knows. And yeah, that pretty much takes care of everything. I hope that you guys enjoyed the review. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as check out SneakerFiles.com. You can also check out my site, Nightwing2303.com, and that pretty much covers everything. So until next time, guys, have a good one.